All I can say, what an anticlimax, Bravo. You're from the highs of qualifying for the World Cup to having two of your biggest names in the team, Desiree Ellis and Thembi Kgatlana, winning CAF awards, to this issue at the moment sitting with Banyana Banyana, this on the eve of a big match against the Netherlands. But I'll leave it to my guest to give us all the answers regarding this whole debacle. Let's get to that story. Banyana Banyana's build-up to the encounter against the Netherlands has been marred by a pay dispute. The debacle comes after SAFA failed to make outstanding payments to the women's national side that was promised following the conclusion of last year's Women's Africa Cup of Nations. The team and the authorities have reached an agreement where all monies will be paid to Banyana. Now, sports reporter Busiwe Mukwena has been following the story and joins us now in studio. Busi, a very good evening to you. First of all, take us back. What triggered this whole sequence of events?
Okay, thank you for having me. So what happened was when I've been chatting to players, I speak to them all the time, and I found out on Tuesday that they were unhappy because they had been waiting for the money that was promised to them since their camps in October when they were preparing for the Women's AFCON. So now it also happened that within the camp, the players were having meetings amongst themselves, also with the team management on when will they be paid. So from there on, we discovered that the CEO, Russell Paul, was called to one of the meetings, and he went down to Cape Town to speak to the players. And it seems from there, that's when they had an agreement that, okay, they will receive the rest of their money sometime February. So, but prior to Russell Paul going there, the players were saying they are going on strike, so they will not be training, they will not be attending scheduled interviews. That was before until they spoke to the acting CEO of SAFA.
Of course, you broke the story. Well done to you on that. Just tell us, in terms of figures, how much is owed to the players, and what explanation has SAFA given regarding this delay?
So the players were saying they were owed up to 75,000 rand, and because they had received a small sum in December, and they were promised that they will get the rest soon. But then the problem was that SAFA was not communicating with the players between when they received that money last year, December, and until on Tuesday when they had that meeting. So yeah, that's how much they're saying they're being owed. So that money stems from stipends from camp and the bonuses from the AFCON.
We've spoken about the discrepancy of women's footballers not being paid enough when you compare it to their male counterparts. Will this add more fuel to the fire, given that Banyana, of course, have qualified for the World Cup, which is a huge achievement?
I hope it's actually a lesson to the association that they need to maybe take the players more seriously, because I think had SAFA and the players not come to an agreement this week, chances are they would have not played tomorrow. So now, hopefully, with all the tournaments that are coming, the Cyprus Cup next month, the World Cup in June, things would be better and players would be getting their money on time. And hopefully, in the future, it will become better than what they're getting now.
We saw an announcement today, Leandro Smith signing for a club in Sweden. Could we see possibly a similar trend where more players go to sign big deals, perhaps in Europe? We've seen it in rugby happening, where South African rugby has lost quite a lot of players because of a lack of finances.
I think that would be great, actually, because it would mean that Banyana can become stronger when we have more players playing in competitive leagues. I mean, at the moment, we have only Thembi Kgatlana and Linda Mutlalo in the US. We have Rhoda and Fifi in Australia. And then now we have Leandra, who will be playing in Sweden. I mean, I think there's more other players who actually have the talent and can compete abroad. Hopefully the World Cup will be a window for them to get those big signings to other clubs outside of the country.
Very quickly, we had Danny Jordan, the SAFA boss, coming out this week saying that, you know, the game has grown tremendously. In fact, the numbers have doubled in women's football. Just your thoughts, how can women's football in South Africa be sustainable?
A professional league that pays the players to live on football. I know that there's a proposed league which was meant to kick off in April, but it's now been pushed to August. Hopefully it does happen, and I think the issue also is the lack of sponsorship. You know, when Banyana qualified for the World Cup, I was hoping, like deep down inside, that a few corporate companies or sports brands would personally sponsor some of the players, at least 3, 4, 5. But we haven't seen that happen. But hopefully, with how Banyana will do at the World Cup, that will bring in more sponsors, personal sponsors for the players, but also for the women's game in the country.
Well, Busisiwe, all I can say, let's hope that this issue will be resolved soon, because, I mean, that Women's World Cup is coming up, actually starting on the 7th of June. So let's hope that it doesn't hinder our players' chances in France this year. Thank you very much indeed for coming through. That was a sports reporter, Busisiwe Mokoena, giving us insight regarding a pay dispute involving Banyana Banyana and SAFA.